Please comment below to tell me which projects you prefer to watch how I create. On your choice, World Island, World LA, or World Trip Soviet. I'm interested to hear your opinion from those who follow my videos and channels. And which map creation process do you choose? I will be publishing more videos in this theme, in these projects create. That's why I am working on these projects more. In this video, I show how I changed the road development pipeline to speed up the map creation process. The first thing I gave up was using classic splines to create a parallel and straight roads. I completely switched to creating roads from BSP. The reason is simple. BSP allows you to create roads faster and easier without resorting to complex curvatures and complex grid. As you can see, I created markings using BSP and also created road crossings using the same method. I still create sidewalks using the terrain tool, specifically terrain splines. Because this method allows you to quickly create curvature, quickly adjust ramps where needed, and overall this method is more convenient than doing it in 3D Max or the same BSP geometry. I'll also tell you why I use the Unreal Engine 4 version and not the Unreal Engine 5 version. I tested the BSP geometry tool functionality in Unreal Engine 5, and there was a problem where geometry quickly starts to slow down and lags when I editing with the same number of BSP elements in a level. So I had to stay on Unreal Engine 4. When asked me why I stayed with Unreal Engine 4, even though Unreal Engine 5 was released a long time ago and I continue to show videos and the creation process on Unreal Engine 4, now you know the reason. The main reason, besides what I said above, Unreal Engine 4 works faster and more suitable for creating my level pipelines. But it doesn't mean I'll stick with this version for final builds and my projects. The final version of the build and other projects will definitely be on Unreal Engine 5. I'll finish a long introduction where I shared my thoughts after a long absence from the channel. I won't explain why engine remains generally relevant and user-friendly, despite the fact that many no longer understand how to work with Unreal Engine 4. I continue to create levels with it and don't see any problems. So I understand that inconvenient for those already accustomed to the Unreal Engine 5 interface, but in case I don't create tutorials, I'm creating videos where I show how I create my worlds. You can see a huge map of the city LA, in which only a small portion of the roads have been completed. It's 1 to 1 kilometer. At first glance, it seems unrealistic to create such a world, but in fact, that's not my original goal. In this case, I simply want the roads and the entire city infrastructure to be based on real-life prototypes. So I had to shift the focus from creating an unrealistically large map to testing my ideas on a smaller map size. To do this, I asked the AI to create me a map of the island, for me similar to the world from the GTA series game. In this case, the result is a tropical island, inspired by GTA Vice City, but not repeat the original map. At first glance, the map looks completely unlike any other GTA game, but the goal was precisely to recreate the tropical island completely surrounded by water. In this case, the result is a tropical island inspired by GTA Vice City, but not repeat the original map. At first glance, the map looks completely unlike any other GTA game, but the goal was precisely to recreate the tropical island completely surrounded by water. In this case, the result is a tropical island inspired by GTA Vice City, but not repeat the original map. At first glance, the map looks completely unlike any other GTA game, but the goal was precisely to recreate the tropical island completely surrounded by water. In this case, the result is a tropical island inspired by GTA Vice City, but not repeat the original map. At first glance, the map looks completely unlike any other GTA game, but the goal was precisely to recreate the tropical island completely surrounded by water. You can see that the AI understand my idea well and created a more or less understandable roads network. Naturally is not without its mistakes. At the same stupid dead ends. For example, in Daryl's place. But in the case I'm satisfied with the overall concept of the island and how the neural network distributed the main territories. In this case, you can see LH city and a mandatory airport as well as LH port and islands case. Like a GTA Vice City case. Keys for is islands. Connected a road network. This has a large background, objects, the mountains, as well. And of course, a large number of beaches around the islands. It's yellow sand above the, around the all islands grain. You can see that the AI understand my idea well and created a more or less understandable roads network. Naturally is not without its mistakes. At the same stupid dead ends. For example, in Daryl's place. But in the case I'm satisfied with the overall concept of the island and how the neural network distributed the main territories. In this case, you can see LH city and a mandatory airport as well as LH port and islands case. Like a GTA Vice City case. Keys for is islands. Connected a road network. This has a large background, objects, the mountains, as well. And of course, a large number of beaches around the islands. It's yellow sand above the around the all islands grain. In this case, you can see my stage of islands creation, namely the prototyping experimental stage, mainly from BSP geometry. You can see how I created the islands base using BSP geometry. The goal is to create realistic low poly for devices where number of points and polygons is important. Therefore, I'm using experimental methods to create the island's landscape. First, I created an island shape from BSP. Then I added an example of hills. Well, and also tested how to create beaches and islands borders. As you can see, the main part of islands, that is the base fill of the islands, is one large BSP element, then repeats the general shape of the islands except of borders in the form of the beaches. I will do the beaches separately, as this requires a more detailed approach to bends and slopes. I also tested the creation of hills, roads using the BSP geometry method. This is the first stage, which took me literally 20 minutes, after which I will continue to add more and more details to the islands based on the general fill in the form of an island shape from BSP. This is the first stage, which took me literally 20 minutes, after which I will continue to add more and more details to the islands based on the general fill in the form of an island shape from BSP. I will try to record a video on creating a fictional islands and a separate video on creating an urban environment based on real maps of LA, namely real maps of LA, roads, network, and authentic architecture based on a real city. In this case, the islands is a test for testing technologies for creating reliability, large and optimized worlds. First, let's look at what Gemini generated for the prompt. I generated a huge number of guitar-styled 2D maps in islands format. I'll quickly skim through them so you understand what can be achieved using AI and what sketch or island shape can be achieved using AI as an idea artist. Well, in this case, it's one example of unsuccessful generation. I asked it to generate a similar map for GTA San Andreas, and he repeated it. Below an example of more successful generation of the 2D maps, which I will review in more detail. You can see that I divide the maps by GTA types. GTA San Andreas-like, GTA-like maps without a focus on exiting maps and separate prompts for GTA Vice City style maps. GTA 6 maps. This is Vice City. GPT did better job generated a GTA style game world at first glance, but upon closer inspection you can see that these maps are too undetailed, although they appear more complex and at first glance higher quality. I won't use them initially because the road network architecture are difficult to read is such a small format. Gaming did better job. I scroll through this map image now. You can see that network is very huge, but details, buildings and roads network not detailed how create a Gemini AI generator images. But this map very artistic and huge. If you did like me to go into more detail about the generated body maps sketches, please let me know by writing a comment. I'm showing the latest generations that I made recently as a continuation of the list of created body maps sketches. It's a better map, I think, but is GTA similar? GTA say it's not correctly. But road network is not good, but it's very complexly idea in one sketch image for next creation in Unreal Engine modeling. It's GTA 4 type map, only city without nature. It's a slope. It's GTA type 4, I think, and this GTA Vice City type. It's not Vice City, but it's tropical or nature around it city and big airport and port. It's GTA 6 type map, similar